Good morning, everyone. We're having some technical difficulties. I don't believe it will take us very long to try to fix everything. Um, but if you hold tight for just a minute or two, hopefully I'll have good news in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. Good morning again. Stephanie and Stacy, can you please confirm? Tracy and Stephanie, can you please confirm that you're both ready?
Ready, Judge.
I'm ready, Judge.
Very good, thank you. We're on the record in proceeding number 25R-0519EG before the Colorado Public Utilities Commission. My name is Aviv Segev. It is now 11:02 a.m. on February 9, 2026. This public comment hearing was scheduled by decision number C25-0894, issued December 15, 2025. This rulemaking procedure was initiated to consider new rules initiated primarily to enhance the Commission's understanding of energy affordability and disconnection trends by standardizing, streamlining, and improving the granularity of utility reporting on disconnections, arrearages, and energy assistance participation. The proposed amendments are designed to reduce unnecessary administrative burden on utilities while ensuring that the data collected is more consistent, analytically useful, and capable of supporting targeted policy and assistance effort for consumers at risk of disconnection. Key proposed changes include eliminating outdated quarterly reporting, shifting certain reporting to more frequent and geographically precise formats, and adding metrics that better capture customer outcome and effectiveness of assistance programs. I will now explain how this public comment hearing will proceed. First, I'd like everyone to keep their microphones muted until it is your turn to speak. This will help us avoid background noise so we can keep a good record. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to change your Zoom name so that your first and last name are displayed on the screen. This will help me in calling participants who wish to provide a public comment. To signal to me that you are ready, you may use the raise hand feature on the bottom of the screen. You will see I think it's the reaction button, right? And under it, there will be a raise hand. If you wish to lower your hand, you may lower your hand using the same process. If it's too complicated or whatnot, there aren't very many participants. No, there are a few here today, but you can just turn on your video to signal to me that you're ready to speak. If you are using a phone to provide an oral comment today, you can use the raise hand feature by dialing *9. And before you start speaking, you will need to unmute yourself by dialing *6. So again, *9 to raise the hand and *6, excuse me, to unmute. Everyone providing a comment should speak slowly and clearly and enunciate their words as much as possible. Please try to avoid speaking over me. I will, of course, try to do the same with the commenters. If someone covers a specific point you intended to include in your comments, please feel free to, during your comments, to state that you agree with that person, and you may, of course, add whatever comments that were not addressed or with which you did not agree. I'm not going to put any limitation on the time of the comments. I believe we've afforded enough time for everybody to submit an oral comment today. I ask that everybody be patient as we go through the comments today. I will make sure everybody has had an opportunity to speak. With that, let's get started with the public comments portion of the hearing. Let's see, whose hand is raised? I don't see raised hands, but I would just call on you by name. And if you don't wish to provide a comment, that's fine. Just let me know as much. And I'm calling the name by no particular order other than the one that appears on my screen. So Mr. Nussbaum, are you ready, or would you like to submit a public comment? We cannot hear you. I think you might want to unmute yourself. Yep, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Judge, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I don't know if counsel needs to introduce me at all.
Either way is fine. But yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. I think counsel are pretty adept at doing that. So, Ms. Cornelio.
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you. Apologies for the delay, but yes, Casey Cornelio of the law firm Cornelio Consulting. I'm here on behalf of Energy Outreach Colorado. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Eric Nussbaumer, who is Energy Outreach Colorado's VP of Data Operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cornelio. And Mr. Nussbaumer, I'm sorry, I did not see your full last name, so I stopped at Baum. I understand now it's Baumer.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Again, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Just a general comment, the commission's goals are place-based oversight and equitable outcome. So they're really focused on location information. The proposed reported changes are designed to help the commission understand where disconnections, arrears, and bad debts are concentrated, and to evaluate whether interventions are reaching the communities that need them. These are inherently geographic questions, and to answer them, the commission needs a unit of geography that aligns with neighborhood-level considerations and data that is consistently usable across the state. This means that we really need to move to those census block groups. Zip codes aren't designed for neighborhood-level equity analysis and are too coarse and inconsistent for the commission's purposes. They vary widely in size and population. They can cross municipal and community boundaries and often mask localized burdens by averaging across large and diverse areas. And as a result of this, zip level reporting can show no problem even at a zip scale where severe problems exist in specific neighborhoods. CBGs or census block groups better match the commission's policy needs because they are smaller, more stable, and more directly linkable to other public data sets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't believe I have any questions, so I appreciate the public comment, and I think we'll move on to the next commenter, Mr. Davidson.
Oops. Good morning, Your Honor. Mark Davidson of the law firm Fairfield and Woods, appearing on behalf of Colorado Natural Gas in this proceeding. I don't have anything specific to add to the comments that the company filed in this proceeding. I will say that it seemed pretty consistent along the comments of all the utilities that the census block group approach is problematic, especially for a company the size of CNG. We have about 27,000 retail customers in the state of Colorado, and the concern there is really the cost and the methodology of implementation of this census block group approach that the commission has proposed in these rules versus the zip code approach that we've been working with under these rules for some time. And I haven't heard anybody identify actual problems, just really a suggestion that there's something better that the utilities could be using in this regard. And utilities seem pretty consistent in the concerns that they've expressed regarding transitioning to a different version of how to identify the potential concerns of customers that are income qualified and may need these issues addressed. So that's all I have to add today.
Thank you. May I just follow up with a couple of questions, perhaps? Again, I'm paraphrasing, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I think you stated here and in your written comments that census block group reporting may require costly system upgrades and may not yield proportionate analytical value to the commission. Okay, so what do you think? And I know you're not on that side, but what do you think is the analytical value to the commission?
Well, it's been asserted, at least by EOC just a moment ago, that there's a more, I'll say, granular approach using the census block grouping. But I don't, at least Colorado Natural Gas has not seen problems in using the rules with the zip code approach that we have. We haven't really had reported difficulty in operating under the rules as they previously existed, and the proposed change is potentially problematic for a company the size of CNG to implement from a cost and just a technological basis.
Understand. One more question. Have you by chance have you had the opportunity to review the comments that were submitted? I believe it was this weekend. See here. Sorry. By the Energy Equity Project.
I did review that comment this morning, Your Honor.
So, how easy or difficult do you believe it will be for CNG to use the free resource, the U.S. Census Bureau's website? To me, again, based only on the public comments, I have not tried to upload any batch files or anything like that, and I'm not a computer person regardless. But how easy or difficult and time-consuming and costly might something like that be for CNG?
I hate to punt, Your Honor, but having just reviewed the comment this morning, I don't know the answer to your question, and I don't know that the company has had an opportunity to experiment with the uploading that you just mentioned of that type of information that was offered in the comment over the weekend. So I guess I'll have to say we'll have to check and see what the challenges, if any, may be in using that material, that information. I just don't know the answer as we sit here today.
Thank you. I appreciate very much your comments. And that's all I have for you. Thank you. The next commenter or possible commenter, Ms. Giraldo.
Apologies, I'm trying to get my video set up here. But good morning, Judge Segev and staff. My name is Emily Giraldo, appearing on behalf of Public Service Company of Colorado. We really appreciate the opportunity to provide brief public comment on the proposed amendments to the Commission's disconnection reporting rules. We appreciate the Commission's focus on, energy equity issues, transparency, and the effective use of data to inform policy decisions. And we look forward to collaborating with the the commission and stakeholders to reach a constructive outcome in this rulemaking. At the outset, we would like to be clear that we share the commission's ultimate objective of ensuring that disconnection and arrearage data is meaningfully supporting, customer protections and targeted assistance efforts. And we recognize the value of standardized reporting and improved insight into where customers may be more at risk, as well as the data-driven policymaking that is based on both accurate and actionable information. But at the same time, in line with CNG's concerns, we respectfully encourage the Commission to ensure that any new reporting requirements are practical, reliable, and proportionate. Data that is difficult to produce, costly to maintain, or not sufficiently accurate, it does risk undermining the very policy goals that the Commission is seeking to advance here. And from our perspective, data quality and consistency are at least as important as additional granularity. With respect to proposed move toward more granular census-based reporting, we are concerned about implementation feasibility with regard to reporting certain data points and parameters, just given the features and capabilities of our existing system and how that data is kind of housed, particularly for certain arrearage and customer classifications. As you may be aware, we have a legacy billing and customer information system that the company's used for this kind of reporting for quite some time, and kind of retrofitting these systems to reliably produce data in a new format on a recurring basis would require significant changes, testing, and ongoing maintenance, and potentially associated costs that could ultimately affect our customers. And it seems like these challenges are not unique to PSCO and have been raised broadly by other utilities in the proceeding. So we would encourage the Commission to consider flexibility or more phased approaches that allow utilities to build toward reporting enhancements over time, rather than imposing uniform requirements that may not be achievable in the near term. We also would urge the Commission to continue weighing the incremental benefits of additional reporting against the associated costs and operational burdens that may be associated with the additional reporting. We really appreciate the opportunity to comment and, ask that the Commission's rules, appropriately balance transparency with feasibility to ensure that the reporting, serves the needs of our customers.
Thank you very much, Ms. Giraldo. Along the same lines of the questions I posed to Mr. Davidson, you mentioned that the upgrades may not be achievable, at least at this stage. What is the timeline and the cost for do you see the Public Service Company of Colorado see as an acceptable timeline? And again, separate from that, but relatedly, what would the cost to Public Service Company of Colorado be?
Apologies, I didn't have my camera on until now. I didn't notice that.
Okay.
But to respond to your question, at this point, given, how, the limited time that we had to prepare our comments, I would say that we have multiple departments and teams that are involved in kind of developing this reporting. And so, I don't think that has all been something that we completely know at this time. And I think that it would require probably more coordination to determine that. But I think kind of to the earlier points, I think we would just want to make sure that, there were, benefits associated with kind of undertaking, each of the different, reporting metrics and trying to develop our ability to report on them that would be commensurate with, the costs and complexity involved in developing them. We did propose, updates to the Commission's proposed rules that we believe do offer very actionable, beneficial information that would really result in very similar insights to the, information that was originally written in the Commission's rules. And I do think a challenge is that, information that we have on the customer account level can sometimes be different than the information that we have on the premise level. And so I think just keeping an eye toward those things and, just given sort of the, we just have systems that we've used for quite a long time that pull this information. And, it would be my understanding a bit of a retrofitting process to try to, trace kind of the CBG level data, which is a census block group, apologies for the acronym, to the customer account level. And I think that it would have more complexities than it might seem on the surface, just based on some of the initial discussions that we've had. Or you were asking earlier, CNG's counsel about the proposal that was, sent in the other public comment earlier. And I think that something that kind of came to mind for me, and I haven't spoken with our group about it, but I think there might be some, data privacy concerns that would be associated with kind of uploading customer data onto a public platform or tool. And I'm not sure I totally understand how all of that would work, but I think that's just something that we would have to bear in mind.
I don't know if there would be any privacy concerns. It's certainly something we need to look into. But I don't believe the customer address, well, addresses that can be found anywhere that are available online just by, if you go to any online map. But if those can be converted without any account information to if the mailing addresses or street addresses can be converted easily and for free, for what appears to be a free tool, there may be privacy concerns, but I can't think of any. Again, if no personal information, customer information is included in those batch files. Do you have any comment on that?
I personally don't understand enough, kind of what the data flows would be and exactly how that would work, under the proposal and that, comment given when it was filed. I haven't personally had time to drill much into it or speak with our subject matter experts about it. And, I do understand that the company has ways that they do report on certain information, kind of on a census block group level. So I'm not sure kind of what that tool could potentially add or not, given the existing capabilities. But certainly something that if there are specific questions that relate to kind of later filed comments, we would certainly be happy to try to coordinate internally and address those through written comment. It's just difficult for me to do that standing here, given all of the teams and departments that coordinate on these kinds of endeavors.
Okay, let me just ask you one more, a bit more pointed question. You mentioned that you proposed the Public Service Company of Colorado proposed enhancement to the reporting requirement that you believe are pretty close to what the commission needs or should need. And on the other hand, we have what the staff proposed or what was proposed through the NOPR, the Notice of Proposed Rulemaking. And so, has a Public Service Company of Colorado made any analysis of the difference in cost or time between what was proposed by Public Service Company of Colorado, the enhancement that were proposed by Public Service Company of Colorado and what was proposed by the staff through the NOPR?
Well, I guess to respond to that question, I would say that the enhancements that we proposed, the updates to the reporting requirements, are all things that we believe the company would currently have the capability and the technology available to implement. So, I don't think that we anticipate that there would be, additional material costs that would be associated with complying with the rules as we have, proposed updates to them. I think it would obviously require internal coordination and some processes. But I think we tried to, develop a proposal that would be workable kind of with how our data is currently set up. And with in coordination with the individuals that work with that data on a regular basis. In terms of the other alternative that was, reflected in the NOPR, based on the discussions that we had, we proposed updates to those requirements because we did not believe that there was, a readily workable path forward to comply with those requirements, absent, maybe some pretty sweeping changes that would, probably involve incurring some costs, but we have not had an opportunity to, thoroughly, analyze or develop an estimate of what those costs would be, as far as I understand. So I don't think we've done that kind of comparative analysis that you're asking about, but happy to take that back to the company, if there are any additional details to comment on there.
Yeah, I'll say this to you and everybody else in attendance. You can still, anybody who wishes, the public and anybody with a stake in this proceeding can still submit public comments even after the conclusion of this public comment hearing, and I will continue to review those for several more weeks until I have to draft and issue my recommended decision. So I can't give you an exact timeline, but I will be reviewing comments as they come in. But obviously it won't be indefinitely because at some point I have to issue a recommended decision. So I appreciate your comments very much. Thank you for submitting the comment. Anything else, Ms. Giraldo?
I don't think we have anything further at this time, Your Honor. We appreciate your and commission staff's engagement on these issues. And we're happy to file, any further comments as desired if you have particular questions.
Yeah, along the same lines of the same question I posed to you and Mr. Davidson so far. If some answers to those can be answered, that would make my drafting of the recommended decision much easier. So thank you again, Mr. Stoffel.
Good morning, Your Honor. Nick Stoffel with the law firm of Holland and Hart, appearing on behalf of Atmos Energy Corporation today. Didn't have any specific comments that I showed up this morning to provide. Certainly agree with what you've heard from CNG and Public Service Company of Colorado thus far. It seems like one of the challenges we're dealing with is both disconnection and financial support for customers facing disconnection are as granular as it gets, right? It occurs at the customer level and customer specific communications, customer specific support. And then now we're having this conversation about reporting and how granular that should be. And just in light of the challenges all of the utilities have raised of moving from a zip code reporting to the census block group, just kind of wanted to put that reminder out there that ultimately, I guess there's a question about how would that change in reporting actually feed back to these programs or to disconnection policies when ultimately they are on a customer specific individual account level, as was discussed in Public Service's initial comments. So wanted to put kind of this overall conversation today in that context, certainly as you consider the burden associated with the change. Unfortunately, I don't have any specific response to your question about the energy equity project tool and how that could be incorporated into Atmos Energy systems. Similarly, we got a sense of how long it would take for the census block piece to be incorporated into Atmos Energy systems. I don't know the associated cost for that. So that's something we could look at reporting with some supplemental comments, but otherwise happy to answer any questions you have based on what we filed or the conversation so far today.
Yes, thank you very much for the comment. I think I follow everything you said. Again, I posed this question. This was my first question, I think, to Mr. Davidson, and I'll ask you the same question. You said you believe that the current reporting provides enough. Again, you may correct me if when you have the opportunity, you can provide information that is sufficient to carry out the commission's policies. So what do you think the commission is missing? Why do you think the NOPR was filed to begin with?
Well, certainly there were some efficiencies that were identified, the elimination of some of the reporting requirements, the consolidation of some of the reporting. So at a high level, there's the proposed changes that haven't received a lot of comment, and I think that's because they're acceptable to the parties who have reviewed them. And then the census block group component has jumped out, and I think that kind of gets to the core of what I was raising with my initial comment here around. So if you have reporting and the reporting's as granular as zip codes or census block groups, that gives you a sense of where disconnections are occurring, where additional support may be needed. I guess what's unclear based on the NOPR and the discussion so far is how does that information actually feed back into the disconnection programs and the financial support programs that are available for customers at risk of disconnection? Because those are not driven by geography, right? Those are driven by the status of the account, how far in arrears the account is, the required communications in advance of disconnection, which include notification of the available support that's available for customers at risk of disconnection. And so that to me seems to be this gap that we're talking about, is the value of this information on a reporting basis, but then how does that actually become valuable to the programs themselves, which aren't driven by location, which aren't driven by zip code or census block group area. They're truly driven on a one-on-one relationship between a particular customer and the utility serving them. And so I think that's just part of what we're struggling with, is we understand the argument around census block groups being more granular and different than zip codes. Clearly, you've heard from all the utilities the challenges of that move if it's required for the reporting. And then with this question of, and for why? Because ultimately, it's as granular as it gets on an individual level, and the actual support and the actual disconnection process are removed from the reporting. And so I think that's something that's just missing, is really, okay, if this were implemented and utilities were required to incur the costs and to move to a census block reporting level, what is the expectation of how that would be helpful when it comes to actual disconnections and it comes to actual financial support for customers at risk of disconnection?
Thank you. That's a good question. And I understand that it's all utilities basically have that same question. At least all utilities that are participants or that have submitted a comment in this proceeding. So I welcome anybody in attendance today, or anybody who is listening on the Commission's YouTube channel to file a comment addressing that very question that Mr. Stoffel just posed, and the other utilities also posed through their written and oral comments today. So again, I'm happy to even go back to commenters that have spoken, but I'll just keep Mr. Stoffel. Anything else you would like to say today?
Nothing specific. The other issue we touched on in our initial comments was the monthly reporting requirement, which currently exists based on a commission order. And if that is expected to become part of the kind of the permanent reporting regime for disconnections, we think it should be incorporated in the rules. We have the ongoing reporting in the 2008 docket, which shows how sometimes something that appears as a temporary reporting requirement becomes more permanent, at which point it's appropriate to put it in the rules. So didn't see any response comments on that, but that was an issue we'd flagged.
Understood. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Again, I'll at the end of after everybody who is in attendance today has had an opportunity to provide a public comment, I will go back and I may even I may allow people who have already submitted a public comment to submit yet another one based on the comments that we've heard. So with that said, again, thank you, Mr. Stoffel. The next person on my screen is Mr. or Ms. DeMonico, I can't see the full name, so.
Hello, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think my video disappeared. Mr. DiDomenico, I'm with Colorado Natural Gas.
Apologies, Mr. DiDomenico.
No problem. And our attorney, Mark Davidson, has already discussed with you our position, and I really have nothing to add at this point.
Understood, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Sopkin.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Greg Sopkin, representing Colorado Electric Gas, Black Hills Colorado Electric Gas, and Black Hills. Black Hills Colorado Electric and Black Hills Colorado Gas. I think our comments will be very similar to what you've heard from Mr. Stoffel, Mr. Davidson, regarding smaller utilities. This represents, if we go to census block group level reporting, it does represent something that's costly and burdensome to us. And we just don't really see the point. We already have account-based data that we think is much more current and much more meaningful than any census block group reporting would be. Our account-based data captures and follows a person or household as they move from location to location. They move in and out of situational income qualification. And it also provides behavioral data around disconnection, payment, and arrangement. So we just think the account level data is a much more cost-effective and accurate way to look at these questions about, why disconnection is happening, what sort of payments can help and arrangements can help. We do know, I don't have an exact cost figure for you. That's a question that you asked some people. We do know that it would require hundreds of hours of recoding and other system changes for us to provide this data. And we also, on the gas side, it's even more difficult because we don't have AMI meters on the gas side. To do this, we would also note that 2/3 of our electric service territory is already regarded as disproportionately impacted. So it's kind of a what's the point of this? We already treat all our customers the same with regard to this at the account level. So what we've asked for is either that the commission continues with the current system with zip code data as well as account level data, not the census block group level, or maybe an exemption for utilities with less than 500,000 customers. That would work for us as well. And finally, I would just note we agree with Public Services comments that we're unable to provide the information required under proposed rule 3407 G1, E, F, and M at the census block level for the same reasons they asserted. So that's our basic comments. I do have with me Dr. Devin Muller, who's a program manager for Black Hills, and any questions you may have sort of in the weeds, he can provide the answers. But we're certainly open to your questions, Your Honor.
I will pose again the question. I think Mr. Muller may be better suited to respond to this question, but again, how easy or difficult would it be for Black Hills to use the U.S. Census Bureau's website to upload what appear to be batch files? I understand that stuff is not instantaneous, and there may be, some, one may need to do it one way versus the other, and then you need to sample the data to make sure it's correct. And I understand that it's not instantaneous either way, even if it's technically possible, and free. there's nothing free. But so I think if Mr. Mueller can, or you, Mr. Sopkin, can address that question, I would appreciate it.
I'll hand that one over to Mr. Mueller.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate the opportunity. So it's
It's
we're
not a
talking-
big deal, Mr. Mueller, but I can't see you. Now I can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. It's as Mr. Sopkin kind of alluded to earlier, and Mr. Aldo and Mr. Stoffel, we've got data quality issues when we're even if it's a free database, we're uploading addresses that may or may not be unique by location. We've got some rural addresses. We've got some very specific addresses that are specific to our system. And we would have to run through a data quality process to ensure that those are correct. Where the alternative and the most granular option that you've kind of heard discussed is account level information. However, I think that given the free tool that you're referencing, there's certainly an opportunity to evaluate that, but we would need additional data fields in our CIS. We would need to make sure that whomever is entering the addresses or the data is getting good information back that we're putting into our system. So I think certainly the process could be outlined and designed, but it would not be, we've talked about what is the benefit? What is the benefit for programmatic spending? What is the benefit for those individual customers at the account level? It still remains to be seen what benefit reporting at the CBG level or census block group level would add to those individual customers and the programs and the funding in which they receive.
Thank you. I'm trying to think if I have any follow-ups, and I don't think I do. I think I understand where this is at, where we're headed. So I very much appreciate your comment, Mr. Mueller and Mr. Sopkin. Unless you have anything else to add, Mr. Mueller, I'll move on to the next commentary.
I don't, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Nothing to add, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Taya, I apologize if I mispronounce your last name, but I believe it's Taya.
Yeah, you got it. I'm just here to listen, and yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much, though.
No problem. Thank you. Mr. Bennett.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm just here listening on behalf of the OC.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else that's in attendance that I have not called on? Please chime in. Mr. Oh, yeah, I apologize. Mr. Arguaro Baharano. If I mispronounce it, I apologize.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment today. I'm Raul Agrawal Bejarano. I'm the lead data scientist with the Energy Equity Project. We submitted comment late Friday afternoon around different methodology pieces that can be done to conduct this kind of geospatial analysis. Before I get into the specifics and answering a few of the questions that have been raised on that front, I'd like to just reiterate a couple of points from an equity perspective and affordability perspective, that disconnections don't happen in a vacuum. They're going to be connected to income, home, housing quality, health outcomes, and community vulnerability. These all play a factor into when a household gets disconnected or if a household is vulnerable to being disconnected. Census block group reporting unlocks the ability to link disconnection data with comprehensive demographic data sets that public health departments for example, like the Colorado Public Health Department has one, energy assistance offices and community organizations have, to target their resources in a more effective manner. So this doesn't become an effort that only gets held by the utilities, but can be held across different state organizations as well. For example, comparing affordability plan enrollment rates to area median income, household sizes, and disconnection patterns reveal where outreach may be failing and where communities face compounding crises. Zip code level reporting hides these disparities and because they average across diverse neighborhoods, masking where concentrated vulnerability may exist that census block groups reveal. Notably, I'd like to also raise that Xcel Energy has already conducted census block group level analysis and reporting in Minnesota to automatically provide affordability credits based off of customer service address and location, proving that this approach works at scale for one of Colorado's largest utilities. The methodologies outlined in our public comment scale quite efficiently. They work if you have a customer base of 10,000 residential customers, or if you have customer bases in the millions. One piece that I'd like to also highlight about the methodology papers attached is that they were estimated based off of staff time of an entry to mid-level data scientist or geospatial analyst in mind, where the initial setup can take about 2 to 4 weeks, and that takes into account submitting these batch files, as well as it provides ample time for data quality checks, reporting, additional checks, resubmissions, and it provides a full-time estimate on that front according to one data scientist that is either at an entry or mid-level space that we're seeing in the field. With that being said, we also believe that census block groups are a very reliable sense of geospatial resolution. They're updated every decade. And so the majority of this upfront effort only needs to be done once every 10 years. After that happens, service addresses don't change. Their latitude and longitude coordinates don't change. And so their census, like those addresses only need to be coded once. To the point as to what these batch files may be, I'd like to just say they're just a list of service addresses. They shouldn't contain any customer names, account numbers, any sort of that material, and then can be connected easily into their databases. In terms of monthly reporting requirements, they can be implemented quite easily, and usually the actual running of those files we've seen, at least in our nonprofit space and with a couple of different spaces, on the 2 to 4 hour range once those systems are already in place.
I think you've addressed most, if not all, of the questions that I had raised to the various commenters. So thank you very much. Let me think a little bit. Perhaps I can pick your brain about one or two more things. You said that the majority of the effort should the utilities be required to provide the reports as more or less required or set forth in the NOPR, in the Notice to Propose Rulemaking. Most of the effort will have to be done upfront and then updated every 10 years. So in connection with, and I know utilities vary in services, size, and so on. So can you give me any kind of estimate as far as time, and if you can, also cost for the initial stage as well as the update every 10 years part?
Definitely. So we provided about a 2-month time range for the upfront time needed. That's assuming a team of 1 or 2 maximum data scientists at the entry or mid-level range, occurring every 10 years, so that you could get any service addresses and turn them into those census block group identifiers, right? We did this assuming a customer base of about 1.6 to 2 million residential service addresses. This takes into account residential service addresses that occur, for example, apartment A in building XYZ, apartment 2 in XYZ, so even repeat addresses in that sense. We then also broke down in our methodology paper what it would take for when new addresses enter the system. That can be as fast as on the order of minutes once the system has already been automated. And then the update every 10 years, we scale that to about a week every 10 years, because maps may change a little bit, and so they might want to do some additional quality assurances there. The basis by which we estimated these timeframes is for one singular data scientist at the Energy Equity Project to do this for a list of 100,000 addresses. And we were able to do that in less than a week.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Anything else that comes to mind that you might want to talk about?
Yeah, we would like to commend the commission on expanding these types of reporting requirements, especially not only geographically, but temporally, to understand the different fluctuations and when disconnections are happening most and to who. And we would really like to commend all of this approach. Any other questions that the commission might have, that you may have, that the utilities may have around this approach and how we can facilitate, we would be more than happy to answer at a later date as well.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the comment you submitted today. If anything comes up, I see a couple of raised hands, so I'll let these commenters speak, and then if again something else comes to mind, I'll go back to you or anybody else who wishes to again refine or submit another public comment. Thank you very much. I see the hands of Mr. Nussbaumer and Ms. Giraldo raised. So Mr. Nussbaumer, I believe you raised your hand first, but if not, I apologize. But go ahead and please let me know whatever you want to let me know.
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. Just to follow up, I want to note that there are actually 2 utilities that have provided this type of this level of data of census block groups in commission proceedings. One was 24AL-0275E, and the other one was 24AL-0337E. So this has been something that has done before, the utilities have done before and have been able to do. Operationally speaking, within Energy Outreach Colorado, I've seen estimates given for that workflow, which I should add is a pretty standard workflow for encoding addresses to census block groups. It's nothing extraordinary or extreme. It's pretty standard. Here at EOC, we've created that workflow, that upfront workflow, and we did it with a summer intern over the summertime. So it's something that can easily be done. I want to take a moment to address just there were some comments regarding exemptions for utilities. So I believe Black Hills proposed an exemption for utilities under 500,000 customers. My concern is this would materially undermine the commission's objectives of standardized place-based reporting and cross-utility comparison. So the commission is requiring census block group reporting precisely to identify community-level patterns of arrears and disconnections and to assess how assistance programs are reaching vulnerable areas. If we allow some utilities to remain at zip level, we would recreate the same inconsistencies that are actually motivating this rulemaking, and we would create significant blind spots, potentially in territories with a high share of disproportionately impacted communities. As has been mentioned multiple times before, these zip level geographies can mask out neighborhoods or areas of problems. And so if we have some groups using census block groups and some groups using zip codes, one, we're not consistent across the state, which is what we want to be. We want to be consistent spatially and temporally, so across space and across time. And by having a consistent group like the census block group, that allows us to do that. I think Black Hills' own statement that a large share of its customers are DI communities is actually an argument for inclusion and not exemption. I think exempting those utilities with a high share of DI communities would systematically exclude the very communities the commission is trying to understand and protect through better data. So that argument is a little tough.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
And anything else, Mr. Nussbaumer?
That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giraldo.
Yes, thank you. I'll try to lower my hand here. So I certainly appreciate all of the further context and explanation that has been provided. And I just wanted to clarify that, public service as a general matter, we do report on a number of metrics at the census block group level. And we are certainly, more than willing to do so in this context. It's just for data that we have at the premise level, which is the service address, which is, I believe, what is being discussed about what could be fed potentially into that database as a tool. I believe we already have tools that can tie service addresses or premises to census block groups. I believe the complication for public service is that there are certain parameters, like limited parameters. For example, I believe it's arrearage, but don't quote me on that. I think we have them listed in our comments that we only have by account level, because it could be unclear, whether a certain arrearage amount, like it's not necessarily tied to a specific service address. It's just that customer who could be getting service at, multiple different service addresses or premises. So, you wouldn't want to necessarily be double counting that information if it applied to the same customer across multiple addresses, if they, were the customer of record associated with multiple locations. And so I think that was really, I think our concerns about the census block group reporting were really just limited to those unique parameters that we really only store in our systems on the customer account level. And it does seem like it would be like a manual effort or judgment call to just like attribute certain of those data points to a specific premise if that customer is being served at multiple premises. And so I think that was, and then that would be a significant undertaking, considering the number of customers that at least Public Service Company of Colorado serves. And so I think that's something that, we just wanted to make sure doesn't kind of get lost in this discussion, that we can and we do report on, information that we have at a premise level by census block group. So we don't necessarily have any kind of global concern about that. It's really just limited to those specific reporting parameters that we've called out in our comments. But just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Understood. I appreciate the additional comment. Anybody else in attendance that would like to submit, or you, Ms. Giraldo, you may, anybody else, or Ms. Giraldo, would you like to submit an additional refinement of your public comment? All right. There are no responses. Before we adjourn, I'd like to inform everybody in attendance and those who are listening on through the Commission's YouTube channel that there are additional ways to submit public comments. Comments can be submitted in writing or orally by leaving a voicemail. The Commission does not give any greater weight to oral or written comments. But the Commission prefers written comments because they tend to be clearer. If you wish to submit a written comment, you may do so in one of the following 4 ways: through the Commission's, it's actually DORA's, it's the Commission's e-filing system on the DORA website, the Department of Regulatory Agencies websites, which you can find at https://www.dora.state.co.us/PLS/EFI/EFI.homepage. So that's where you can find the e-filing system for the PUC. You can also do so by through the file a comment or complaint link on the Commission's website at puc.colorado.gov. You can email us at the address that also you can find on the PUC website at puc.colorado.gov, or by snail mail at the address that can be found on the Commission's website that I just referenced. To provide written comments in any of these ways, please include the proceeding number, which again is 25R-0519EG. If you would like to provide an oral comment at any time, you can leave a voice message at 303-869-3490, and the comments will be placed in the record of this proceeding. Again, I would highly encourage you to reference the proceeding number 25R-0519EG. This brings this public comment hearing to a close. Again, thank you everybody who submitted a public comment in this proceeding. We are adjourned.